Friends, hello and welcome to Beyond Success Unleash the New You, the podcast where we go beyond titles, trophies, and traditional milestones to explore what it truly means to live a life of purpose, fulfillment, and inner alignment. I'm your host, Ajai Kumar, author, speaker, and fellow traveler in this journey of transformation. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome someone whose professional journey is both inspiring and deeply grounded. Our guest for today is Rajiv Shesh, a distinguished business leader whose career spans decades of driving strategic growth and leading global markets. He is the Chief Revenue Officer for HCL Software. I've had the pleasure of working with him. He used to be my direct reporting manager. So I can tell you with great confidence when I'm saying beyond the numbers and accolades, Rajiv is admired for qualities which you may not see up on his LinkedIn profile or his resume. He happens to be one of the most thoughtful listeners, a generous mentor, and above all, a great, true gentleman. He brings wisdom and warmth together, clarity and compassion together, and combined with an awesome sense of humor. So let's get jump started without any further ado. So, Rajiv, first and foremost, thank you for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you here on the hood.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Ajay. Thank you for having me. And, it's always great connecting with you. And this is a wonderful platform that you set in which, we come and share our thoughts in a very free flowing manner, which is amazing. Looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Rajiv. And trust me when I say this, not only you, apart from me, there will be so many thousands of listeners who will be plugged into this and they'll be getting the good learning then which you'll be sharing today. So we are all very excited to have you with us.
Yeah,
I,
sure. I'm delighted.
I believe you're currently in the Pacific time zone, right?
That is right. I'm very close to Seattle. Yes.
Right. And for the benefit of the audience, I can tell you if there's somebody who has been supporting the airline industry, it is Rajiv. The amount of travel he does. And earlier Rajiv used to joke around saying that in case the day you stop traveling, you might get jet lagged.
Yeah. Actually, I don't, I travel is like is an opportunity, and it's become it becomes a part of your system
Right.
because there is tremendous value in meeting people, shaking hands, giving a warm hug, and it's amazing, and of course it's not easy to travel, and it needs a fair amount of discipline to travel. Like if I'm on a flight, I normally don't eat or drink anything, so that actually helps me, at the other end of the flight to be a little more, alert. So, so that's what we do. I mean, people have different ideas of how to spend time on a flight.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. But that's, I was not aware of this part. That so if you're traveling internationally to, let's say, Far East Asian side of the world or Australia, whatever, you say
Hmm.
that for such a long period of time, you try avoid eating and drinking?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely drink a lot of water. I don't drink any liquor on the flight,
Uh-huh.
and I try and keep my meals very light and try and avoid them if I can. Right?
Got you. Got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So, Rajiv, 28 plus years with the HCL group, Singapore, USA, you were leading our government business, you heading that, then you were part of the engineering R&D services team. You closed the largest deal for us at the HCL engineering R&D, in fact, across HCL. So, fantastic journey which has been there. You like to say anything about your journey, HCL?
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I joined HCL, after success on my third attempt. Uh, and HCL actually, my bosses from my previous company kept on leaving that company and joining HCL. And every time my boss would join HCL, he would invite me to join HCL. And
Uh-huh.
the third time, when the president of my previous company joined HCL, he said, "Abhi kya bacha hai? Now you should come along." So that is when I joined, and it has been a great ride.
Right.
While 28 plus years, it seems like it seems like a long time, but I've had an opportunity to try different things at HCL.
Right.
So right from the early days at what was called Far East Computers, then FEC
FBC.
Infosystems.
Right.
Uh, which was so I joined HCL Consulting when it was not even HCL Tech, and we were like 2,000 people,
Right.
and the revenues were under $200 million. So it seems like just yesterday, but you know, but when you look at the numbers and the statistics of what the organization has achieved, and yet retained the core ethos of the company, it's amazing to see that. The growth is. But in this journey, I mean, I must say I'm singularly fortunate to have been given an opportunity to do so many different things, right? From we were there briefly at Far East Computers together, right?
Right.
You had come in from India, and we were in that process of transforming a distribution organization that used to sell hardware,
Correct.
into a services company.
Right.
And as soon as we kind of got that journey going, uh, then there was an acquisition that we made in the United States.
Correct.
Uh,
Right.
it was to address the government business,
Right.
and then our some of our senior leadership actually just thought that, look, he's one guy, we can put him into running that little piece of business. So I got plucked in from Singapore, and then I landed in Boston,
Right.
to run this government business. I genuinely believe that it was recession proofed. It was not subject to different conditions of what the dot-com bust situation had led the IT industry into. So government business would be stable,
Right.
steady
Right. Right.
business. So we acquired a company to do that, and so I was doing that for a few years as a separate company, because the liabilities and some of the questions that the government contracts raise, it was so different from our regular business that we wanted to keep it like a separate business.
Correct. Correct.
And so that was fascinating experience, being called Hindustan Computers Limited, and in the world that was kind of pivoting towards, it was an anathema to do work as a foreign company in the government. I mean, to do that was
Right.
fascinating, and we won a few contracts. It was a great journey, and then getting into a very special transaction, which became a kind of foundation to a new way of doing business, which was the global risk reward program, uh, with a large software company where Mr. Nader personally was involved. And
Right.
we took a lot of risks in that contract, and and it turned out to be a good thing for the customer, for HCL, the employees that joined HCL as a part of it. If I recall correctly, it was one of the largest rebadging exercises that we did in the company, and it involved even transfer of assets. Then following that was our journey in engineering and R&D services, which was quite fascinating.
Correct.
A stint at with dealing with Japanese customers, and also building the asset-heavy engineering business of devices,
Right. Right.
to and during ERS time, towards the end of my journey in ERS, it was to create a new growth vector around digital, you know, uh, basically to see how do we get digital engineering and digital transformation and digital part of our ERS to grow.
Right.
And then one fine day in 2022, my shoulder got tapped into saying that, look, why don't you go and manage revenues at HCL Software? And it's completely new. And of course, in the early part of our careers, we had sold hardware,
Right.
and products. And then in FEC, interestingly, I mean, you may recall, Ajay, we had done some very interesting work with FileNet. right?
I recall very nice.
I mean,
Yes,
and we had set up the first imaging and workflow center, ODC, and all of those nice things, right? So
right, right,
all that stuff came in handy in terms of building this software business, which is a journey on its own. So while it's 28 years, it seems like a long time. You know, if
right,
you
right.
break it down into different things,
Yeah,
uh, each of these areas have been new ventures for HCL.
correct.
The transforming of the product distribution company into a services company, which is doing SAP and FileNet and imaging workflow. I mean, all kinds of stuff we were doing at FEC, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
End user projects, and full system integration responsibilities, etc. To then running government business, which was like to completely new thing for HCL. We had never done it before
Right, right, right.
into doing these GRRP programs, which we had never done before. So I got
Correct.
pulled into it to doing a complete engineering outsourcing, which we had never done before. One of those large contracts, I think we had a chance to work with together as well. Uh,
Absolutely.
and then to creating this digital stuff for ERS
The products, software side.
to the products business. I mean, it's a fascinating journey. So you know, I've been singularly fortunate. I would say that HCL has given me a chance to get into experimental things. I would say, which had to be tried differently. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And Rajiv, if I may add to this, one is, like you rightly said, HCL has given you the opportunity and the platform to try out new things. And along with that is also the confidence you've generated for the HCL team to say that, hey, here is somebody who can run these new things for us. He's creating those new impacts for us. So it's a mutual thing. But kudos on that. Thank you for sharing your journey. Let's switch
So it's
gears.
like in a deck of cards, there's a paplu who can be.
Who can fit anywhere, right?
So sometimes, yeah,
But Paplu has a lot of power, actually. If you look at it,
of
it's not
course,
only
yeah. I
about
mean, it
just
is like
fitting,
it can be used as an ace. Yeah, absolutely.
it decides who's going to be the winner and also decides with how many points the person can win with that Paplu.
Precisely. Yeah, yeah.
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
it's a yeah, absolutely.
Good, good, good. So, Rajiv, let's come to the podcast title and the word success. It's actually one of those words we all chase, but
Mhm.
rarely we define it the same way. For one person, success might mean saying that, hey, I have to ring the bell at the stock exchange. For another, it might be putting their kids through college. For someone else, it might be building corporate empires. Or for someone else, it might just be sleeping peacefully at night. So it is not one finish line or one spectrum where everybody can define. From your perspective, how do you define success today?
You know, uh, the thing is that you know we must look at success in two parts. I think
Hmm.
in my view, right? One is tied to a goal. Okay, if you're an athlete and you say that, look, I want to complete a 400-meter run in so much time. Okay.
Hmm.
Or I want to win a Olympic gold medal, or I want to win a particular race, right?
Right,
And then you say that, look, you achieved that, uh, and therefore I say that I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, right? Uh, and then you say that, look, I want to get 6 hours of sleep, and you start getting 6 hours of sleep, and then you say that, look, I've achieved that.
right,
Or you want to say that, look, I have a target in mind that uh, we want to be $1 billion business, and you become $1 billion business, and you say achieve that, right?
right, right.
Or I want to read a book a month, and I achieve that, and I come. So that is one part, and which is like breaking down your life into a set of step by step goals that you want to get to, and then when you achieve that, you say that I've achieved that. Then there is a second part of success, which is, I think, in my view, a more important thing, because uh, I, I don't know whether you can actually chase success. I mean, if you start chasing success, it becomes more and more difficult thing to achieve. I
Hmm.
think it's an asymptotic curve. You never get there. You're always aspiring for it. You keep getting there, and you.
Right, right,
and and it is linked to a very simple principle that uh, if you uh, and that's what puts people in trouble sometimes, because
mm,
if you win the first time a gold medal in Olympics, you want to go the next time and win it again. Then after that, you want to be the only player to have won a gold medal in that particular event in an Olympic three times in a row. Okay,
right, right,
and then you want to do it three times. I want to be the oldest person to have won the gold medal, and
right,
that sometimes then you fail in the heats, right? And it happens, and or sometimes you end up getting into like the famous cyclist who won Tour de France seven times, and you kind of then start pushing yourself into things that are beyond ethically acceptable in order to achieve that thing, or you can say that thing about a lot of people, great musicians, great
right.
players, great athletes, great business people,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
who end up, with this tremendous chase mentality
Right,
that I want to do this. Oh, I've created $100 billion business. Now I need to create a $500 billion business, and and that is something that is great, because some people actually define new boundaries with all that. Okay, uh, set new records, which are very difficult to accomplish. Okay, but at the same time, you can end up in jail. Okay,
excellent. Unethical
with
choices, and
different
yeah,
things. Like, I mean, you've seen ourselves. Uh, uh, Managing directors of great consulting firms. Uh, people, energy company, the big energy company,
correct.
which had its CEO and chairperson. So, I think if you start chasing success, I mean, when you actually start seeing successful and you keep defining success again, again, and again,
Mm-hmm,
uh, uh, you know, uh, you can keep chasing it, and it's elusive, it's asymptotic, and it's that inner feeling of never being satisfied with where you are. Sometimes stretching your physical boundaries to get to where you want to be, and then sometimes getting frustrated, and then taking support of things that are not necessarily completely clean, to keep hitting more and more. So
right.
that's a journey. But ultimately, what it boils down to, when we look at the second thing, is very often we never end up saying that I am successful. Okay, in the second category, I mean, it is somebody looking at an individual or an organization or something
Mm-hmm.
an from a lens of their own, saying, "Oh, that person is successful," right? And if somebody's lens is materialistic, right,
Right.
then in that case, he's got this amount of wealth and this kind of lifestyle, and therefore
Yes.
that person is successful, or that organization. And if you've got a lens of a philosophical lens, this guy is meditating, so he's successful, or she's successful, or
Correct. Correct. Correct.
if
Correct.
you've got a lens of art, literature, culture, then you see, you know, um, Phantom of the Opera, and then you say that, look, this actor or actress is successful, and etc. Uh, but if you ask that person himself or herself, they'll say, "Oh, I've got a lot more things to do."
Right. Agree. Agree.
So it's
Agree.
a, it's. I think it is, it's an elusive concept.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So when you said don't chase success, got reminded of that movie, Three Idiots. I believe there's a dialogue over there which says that chase excellence and the success will come chasing you. So whole concept of not chasing success, that was one angle. I just thought that was another parlance coming across.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is very interesting, that that again, uh, how do you? ultimately, if the movie that you refer to, it is basically finding inner peace, right? I mean, basically, that is where it lands ultimately.
Right.
This is what I love doing, and I'm doing that. Okay, that is a moment wherein you can actually say that it is satisfaction, right? I
Right.
love doing this, and I'm doing that. Okay, and it doesn't mean anything at all,
Mhm, mhm.
in pragmatic sense. Like, I love taking wildlife pictures, right? And I'm doing that. Okay. And then somebody takes my picture and puts it on the cover of National Geographic. And then you say, oh, this guy is a successful wildlife photographer, right? But the fact is, I'm doing what I like. And,
Correct.
and I'm continuously working towards uh, taking better and better and better picture.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right.
And then one fine day, an art critic says, oh my goodness, this is something amazing. Okay. And I had a chance to meet with an absolute phenomenal artist, Makbul Fida Hussain,
Uh-huh.
MF Hussain.
Right. Right. Right.
And uh, he, he, he actually would just paint, and people
Correct.
said, बहुत बढ़िया है, I mean, कमाल है. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of people would say that समझ में नहीं आया, and but Hussain Saab continued painting. Some of his works he liked, and some of his works he was, uh, you know, uh, was kind of a personal critique of. But at the same time, people said his work was great. I mean, they put it in different places.
Correct. 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 Correct.
But I think Hussain Saab still wanted to do his best painting, which would be the next one.
Right. Right.
You know, yeah. So that is how it is. Like, so internally, you are continuously chasing the next best thing that you can do. And as in your book, you cite rightly that, uh, put in put forward the best of yours. Don't compare yourself with somebody else, right? I mean, that's what somewhere in your book you write that, right? I mean, you
That's
should work towards presenting your best self as compared to comparing yourself with
right.
something else, right? So that's what it is. And what is your best? You're continuously kind of saying it's yet to come. That's what I think, particularly in the uh, in your book you talk about this person who's written a book, right? And uh, so is that the best book you've written? No, the next book is still to come, right? So
That is so true.
that's how it is, and therefore at an individual level you kind of not put a glass ceiling on where you want to hit. But when you look at it from an outside in perspective, you might say that that person is successful
Correct.
in having achieved that. Yeah.
No, very nice. And I'm sure, like you mentioned, there are two parts where the first part was predominantly around goals and everything which is there. Is it fair to say that when you started your career, your interpretation of success might be more on the first part of it, and the second part, and although the realization came in across with experience, with maturity, would that be fair to say?
Well, actually, I've had some very, very inspiring leaders, Ajay,
Hmm.
with whom I've had a chance to work with. And, a leader whom I was my first boss. He was not even my boss, but he was my boss's boss, actually, a gentleman called R.N. Mukhija. This was during my first job at Larsen& Toubro. And I'll narrate that incident in order to kind of just tell you the grounding that I've had in terms of how to define what it is, right? So I was I just joined the company. It was hardly 3 months, and
Hmm.
I saw a fax or a telex come in that there was a fire in a switchboard in Nangal.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and we were in switchgear contracts, and I said, this is something that I will take responsibility of and get this, addressed. So I took that telex and I looked at the drawings. I figured out what the bill of material that would be needed. I went to the shop floor and I picked up things and put them in the bin, and I wanted quick response, and so then the stores manager, came and yelled at me. He said, "What the heck have you done?" So I said, "What have I done?" He said, "Look, these are all excisable things, and you've got to kind of declare them to excise before you get them here." Okay. So then retrospectively get excise done, and then we realize that you don't have a contract to take goods to Nangal from Bombay.
Right.
So you get that contract established, procurement guys, they're coming up with this rule, that rule. How can you do? Then you realize that you don't have packing material. You just
Mm-hmm.
run out of packing material. So you get some packing material ordered. Anyway, the whole thing goes right into the morning of the next day, and the goods are packed, and there is a transporter organized, and in the morning I go to my boss and I tell him I want to quit. So he said, "Why?" And uh, so I said, "I want to quit because I've been used like a pair of spare hands. Nobody's interested in serving the customer. They're all showing me rule books, this, that, etc." This was like 3 4 months out of college, right? So boisterous self. He said, "I'm surprised." He said, "I would have thought that you want to tell me that I want to go in that truck to Nangal to to make sure that this is not transshipped anywhere and reaches fastest there, and I want to see how those spares are deployed." So that is what I would have liked you to say. So essentially, when you have a manager and a leader like that who inspires you uh, into striving more and more,
Right.
it is about doing more than achieving. And so I think these initial strokes in your career actually make a big impact in terms of how you shape your career, right? And to me, it has been a journey wherein I focus more on doing what is in my hand and doing it to the best ability that you can do, and then ultimately uh, the journey keeps going, right?
Correct. Correct.
And so in that process, in the process of doing, a few people around you get inspired and they also start doing, and then a few other people get inspired and they also start doing, and some people get tired and they fall off, but some people get inspired. I mean, uh, so we were there's an incident where Nandan Nilkani was the consultant to Canara Bank that time, long ago. So I can name some of these things. They've lost context now.
Right. Right.
Nandan was the consultant, and he was advising the bank in terms of selecting their IT for branch mechanization or whatever. And I was sitting with a bunch of people in Mumbai on my little workplace, and I said that we're going to put a proposal. And I mentioned this because you talk about an RFP response in your book as well. So I said that, look, if you compare product and functions, etc., we may not be able to meet the requirement. But there's something we can do which nobody else can.
Mm-hmm.
We will put in so much effort in creating a response that when you know this bank looks at our RFP response, they literally see beads of sweat on it. That people have worked so hard in putting this response together that they will not be able to ignore us. Okay. And when we actually get shortlisted, then we know how to do the magic, right? And we won the deal. To everybody's surprise, we won the deal, right? And uh, and 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 that principle actually it just stayed. Every time you put a proposal together,
Correct.
and if the customer sees that or the client sees the a bead of sweat on the proposal document, they know these guys have put in very hard work. And when people see that, they don't ignore you. So it's a continuous process of doing that. Uh, that has happened, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes yeah, but then that is the beauty of HCL.
Right.
that it has stood with the principle. Anybody who wants to stand up and be counted gets counted.
Correct. That
So
is so true.
you get keep getting counted, and your number keeps getting called to do this and that and the other. So it's a part of the journey. I mean, that's how it is. So to answer your question, I mean, have I actually broken it down into saying that, look, in 3 years' time I need to be this, or 4 years' time I need to be that, and I, at least when I recall it, and I'm being very honest with myself,
Uh-huh.
uh, you know, no, that's not what has driven me. But sometimes when you're not that, you sometimes feel, oh my God, have I missed out on this kind of feeling? And you can't, you're after all a human being, that feeling does creep in once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I have enjoyed the journey more than, the milestones, I'd say.
And that's, I think, the best part actually. And this is kind of good segue for my next question, which is there because when you talk about happiness and where you've done something where you feel meaningful about it, even in success part, if you look at it, there could be certain attributes which you said about external success. There could be a winning an RFP, one of the largest deals together, and going out of the way to make the customer appreciate the value we're bringing, amount of effort we put in, and we're thinking about the customer. They feel that. But have there been any times in your career where you looked at external success was there, but inner fulfillment was missing? Have there been scenarios like this?
You know, inner fulfillment is something that it is, it, it should be inspired by your effort.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I mean, if you actually think that you are, I mean, uh, if you think that you've not put in all the effort, then at least I've not had enough fulfillment, right? I mean, basically, if you fallen short of effort, and uh, that is when I feel that enough fulfillment is not there, right? I mean, basically, uh, and sometimes you can be successful without putting in that effort, right? And then you think that, but if you put in everything that you have, that you've got, right? And then sometimes even if you don't end up on the winning side, you get satisfaction that you learned from the journey, and that can be a big thing. See, it's like this, I mean, again, as I said, I mean, my formative stages of my career and my life have been more focused on, what I can do as against, the results that you get into, right?
Right.
That and that is what drives me. And if you feel that you've not put in your best, that is when it is very frustrating. Or you've not had an opportunity to put in your best, that is even frustrating. And that's what kind of gets me uh, not satisfied, I would say. But on the other hand, you cannot ever control if you're putting in X amount of work, right? You can never put in, you can never control that your competition is putting X plus delta.
Correct. Correct.
You can never
Everything will.
control that.
Yep.
If you finite amount of strategy, you can't actually ever control what your competitors are doing, right?
Correct.
And so therefore, and you can never control what is in the recipient's mind on how they are gauging. You can guess, but you can never, your guess can be better than others, but you can never be 100% sure on how the recipient of your information is reacting to information, right? So with so many variables, the result is not really in your hand, right? But and therefore, you get frustrated when the result falls the other way around. The answer is absolutely yes, but do I get a feeling of being unfulfilled? uh, uh, that feeling comes in only when I realize that we could have put in more effort, or we could have done things differently, as against the result itself. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's look at another angle, Rajiv. When you keep going up the corporate ladder in terms of your responsibilities increase, There are more and more people looking up to you. And what also happens is there is always a tussle between your professional and personal priorities. And there would be umpteenth number of times which are there where there is a clash between both. How do you how do you approach this whole called work life integration? How have you handled that?
So, work life integration, work life balance. I mean, it's a thing that is it is a thing that actually is a question that a lot of executives need to answer, irrespective of whatever position they are in the corporate ladder, right? I mean,
Right.
I think there is a thing that, particularly when you look at, uh, you know, countries that are, rich countries, I would say, or countries that have a lot of resources, say, there, the executives actually have figured out a way of uh, making working as a means to living.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
Whereas in a place where things have to be achieved, you I mean so you're working to do something else in life. I mean, that's what, I mean, like if you're a painter, then you want resources to paint, and then therefore you take care of your bread and butter requirement by going to work somewhere, and then you get to paint, right?
All right.
Like there is a big Wall Street executive who likes to be a DJ in the night, right? And works and enjoys that DJ work a bit, right? Uh, I mean, people have achieved that, and they're
Right.
remarkable. Okay, uh, it has not been the case so much with me, right? I mean, basically, uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, so therefore, yeah, you do have interests outside of work, uh, but for me, it, like I like listening to Indian classical music or reading a book,
All right.
but I would give that up in a heartbeat if it is a professional, if uh, so something at work requires more
Attention.
attention at that time. Okay,
Right. Right.
or like if I promise to go and attend a friend's son's wedding, right? And at that point in time, I mean, that's very important. But if there's a work related travel that may be clashing, then regrettably so, I would say regrettably so, I have so far given preference to work related travel than going and attending a friend's son's wedding. Okay, and that is one regret, and I genuinely sometimes feel that it is more important to give that, to be present in that, uh, uh,
Hmm.
in the wedding. But then, I don't know, whatever it is, I veer towards taking a work trip, right? So that is something that is, I would think that I'm not the best example of to follow when it comes to making these choices, is what I would say. Um, but it is important. I think it's important because you need great friendships so that people can appreciate the fact that you've chosen one thing or the other, and still be friends, right?
Correct.
But uh, I think it is important to kind of, it is it is just not important to be great friends, but it is important also to cherish moments together, right?
Understood.
So that's where I think I don't think I'm anywhere close to being a role model in this area. On I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact is that during my earlier stages, I used to just come home to change a suitcase to go to the next trip, right?
Correct. Correct.
So you know not a good example to follow, I would say, but I do value that. And
Right.
therefore, if my colleagues uh, show an iota of interest to pursue, you know, going to a wedding or going to a baseball game to watch the kids, I would certainly encourage them to do that. I would even tell them that, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of your work. Go and do it."
And
So, so
I can vouch for that, Rajiv, actually, because you and I worked together for so many years together. And if I recall correctly, one, you've always been very hardworking for sure. Where it's not about just the amount of hours, but you even put those hours even at very odd timings which are there. So you'll be working, if it is required, you'll be working entire night, get maybe a couple of hours sleep, or irrespective of time zone you are. So you used to do that, and possibly it is linked to what you're saying earlier. You said that you feel that inner satisfaction if you put in the best to any beat in a proposal scenario. Have you put in the best which is there? So maybe that drives it over there. So I can kind of relate to what you're just articulating. The second part about relationships and all, and I can also relate to that quite a lot, because you've always been extremely, extremely helpful. If there is a team member or somebody who needs to go on a vacation and there is work, you will happily take it over yourself and ensure that that work gets executed. So you've always done that, and that's possibly the reason you'll have so many of relationships to cherish with, where people would not look at you necessarily only as a mentor or as a superior, but maybe look at more like a guide or friend in times of need, irrespective of professional relationships. They'll come back to you. So I can correlate to some of them, but again, it doesn't take away the fact that we need to have some time for our loved ones, family members, and ourselves, and find that right balance so that that regret
yeah,
is no
yeah,
longer there.
very important. Yes, yeah. So two principles have actually stuck with me
Uh-huh.
throughout. Right. One is that if anybody wants vacation or leave, just give it.
Correct.
Grant it. Don't even ask what you're going to do. Just give it. Okay?
Right.
No questions asked. So that's one. Second is, if a person comes with a personal problem, drop everything and attend to it. And so not only drop everything and attend to it, but make it visible that you're dropping everything and attending to it. So, barring one occasion, uh,
Mhm.
you know, in my in a long work life, I have not denied any vacation or leave yet. Anybody, I mean, not even asked a question.
Right, 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 right,
Just barring one occasion, which I requested, "Ki boss, there is trouble. Can we get this done now?" Yeah,
right,
yeah. It was long ago. It was nearly more than 30 years ago that thing came up. Yeah,
right,
but
right.
last 30 years, not even once. Yeah,
No, that's phenomenal actually, because it creates that safe environment for individuals across you who know that if there is a need, whatever be it, you'll be standing by their side and ensuring they have to go on vacation or so many other things. Like you
yeah.
said, anybody personal problem, you stand by and attend
Mm.
to it, as well as ensure that it is visible to people across. So
And
yes.
also, one more thing I've done is, because of this time zone matter, lot of people have made a lot out of it. See, what I have said to people, and particularly in this world wherein we are working across time zones. I mean, imagine people in Australia, England, and West Coast and East Coast, if they have to get on a conference call, somebody has to kind of
Compromise.
compromise, right? So, um, and because I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm not a good example, and it may not be the right time even to become a good example. I kind of let people have a better time zone, and I compromise on the time zone that I join the meeting in. So I mean, so I think, and I can do that. So it's okay.
Correct, correct, correct. Other angle which I remember, Rajiv, is, and you might be a great person to talk about this, about authenticity, which is there. So I have actually personally found you to be extremely authentic all across in your interactions. Sometimes for people who do not know you, they may believe that why is this person becoming so transparent in dialogue communication, which is there, and people might just be a little taken aback, because and that's where you used to build our trust, be it professional lives, personal life, where you're extremely open, transparent. Any thoughts around in high stakes leadership roles or personal relationships, the need for authenticity and
I think it's important, right? I mean, basically, as long as people are aware of what is in your mind, right? I mean, one has to genuinely believe that intent, everybody's intent is always right. I mean, you have to believe in it, right? And particularly inside your own team, okay,
Right.
everybody's is working towards the same goal, and uh, when everybody's working towards the same goal, I think it's important to be honest with each other, right? Often what happens is that, I mean, very simple things, right? Your colleagues and your people who work with your teams expect rewards, right? And for their effort. And sometimes because of the we are all part of a corporation, and there's several factors in which you're not able to give rewards, right? I mean, rewards are not coming through, right? Now it's very easy for an individual to pass on responsibility, saying that, you're not getting this reward because of this, that, and the other reason, right? But it is better to take accountability, so that and in an open, transparent manner, so that one knows exactly what needs to be done, so that you can move forward, and that actually is very helpful. I mean,
Right.
once you're telling the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I personally also kind of live by that principle, Rajiv. Actually, what you said is so right.
yeah,
If you speak the truth, you know what is it. There's only
yeah,
one version of it. If you get into more of polishing it with so many lies here and there, it's so difficult for you to even remember what you told to one
yeah,
person
yeah, to
versus
whom.
another
And
one.
then if two different people meet each other and they hear different things, then they start wondering what's going on, right?
Not only that, Rajiv, if you meet the same person, for you to remember what you told him, you have to
Yeah, yeah,
maintain the same version with that guy. So
correct,
extremely
correct. It's
complicated for sure.
correct. Yeah.
Keep life simple. Okay, so Rajiv, in your opinion, one success myth which you wish more and more people would unlearn. Anything comes to your mind?
Success myth that people could unlearn is uh, you know I think that it's a I'll answer it off the cuff. I haven't given it
Please,
thought.
please, please.
I think uh, one success myth that people would need to unlearn is success is a milestone.
Right, right, right. So more like an ongoing journey which is there. It's not about that
Yeah,
you
of
accomplish this
effort,
and you're
and
successful.
it's yeah, ultimately, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. So, if you were to look at giving advice to people in their 20s and 30s about redefining success, which is there, as to what they should be going after, is there something which you'd like to say to the audience?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I think it's important, right? I mean, there are great examples,
Hmm.
okay, which you can take. And one such example that comes to my mind is Virat Kohli. Okay, you know, how is, and again, from an outside in perspective, right? I'm not thinking what Virat Kohli is thinking, but I'm thinking about what I think about Virat Kohli. Okay,
Right, right.
uh, is that he's a great guy. Okay, and he's a great guy because once he got to a milestone, which was to start playing for India or start playing well, he doubled his effort.
Hmm.
Okay, he doubled his effort. So the thing is that once you think that you've achieved a milestone, people slacken their effort thinking I have arrived.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
but that is the time to double your effort. You work even harder. Okay, and that is when uh, one achieves that consistency of performance, and people start calling yourself great. Look at Tom Brady. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
he doubled his effort after making the NFL, and he kept on winning, and he kept on his effort at the highest level, and he kept on increasing his effort to to stay at the same level of performance, right?
Right, right,
And even change the benchmark of success, I would say,
right,
right, as we view it from outside.
right.
So I think the thought that comes to my mind when I see young people
Hmm.
who kind of are measuring their effectiveness or success with the likes on a social media post, okay, is a distinct challenge that they are facing because they are living in a world of instant gratification, okay, and that is not how uh, life actually treats you, right? Because there are learning journeys, and when you get into an IIT with
Right.
JE rank 100,
Yeah.
how do you double your effort after getting into an IIT? Okay, when you get into an IM or Harvard or Kellogg or Berkeley,
Right.
how do you double your effort after doing that? Okay, and not be chilled that I'm now at IIT Madras,
Done and
so my
dusted. Yeah.
life is made. People are going to come chasing after me after 4 years, offering me a job, and then I'm into a job, and then I'm kind of making money. I think that is when it is a privilege. It is genuinely a privilege
Hmm.
and a little bit of luck that
Hmm.
gets you into positions where or a platform wherein you can actually start creating a kind of a causal relationship between your effort and output. Okay, and that is when you should not slacken on your effort.
Got you.
I mean,
Got you.
that is the key thing that comes to my mind. I mean, if you won a great deal, after that you don't slacken. You actually double your effort in your learning, in your knowledge, in terms of people interaction. Instead of getting arrogant and then run people down,
Right, right,
you
right.
should even embrace that opportunity to learn more and do more. That's what I think is the key thing that comes to my mind.
No, very nice, very nice. And when you talked about earlier, you gave the example of Virat Kohli. So one is for the benefit of the audience who live in the western part of the world. If you're not familiar, he is one of the most cherished player across from the Indian subcontinent as part of the Indian cricket team. And Rajiv, I get reminded of an interview I saw. Virat was there, Anushka, his wife was there, and it brought some very interesting perspective. I'll just join the dots what you were saying. So Anushka made a comment about Virat, saying that in the field he's so passionately involved while he's even fielding, not batting. He said when a bowler takes a wicket, more than the bowler, it is Virat who's so happy and excited and fired up on the field, which is there. Now, if I were to draw parlance, what you're saying was it's not about doubling your effort, but when you're in a team sport, it could be in a corporate structure where we all have been working across, where it's a team sport. It's not individual contributor as such or individual heroes necessarily always. You need to be doubling your effort to also encourage the ecosystem so that as a team together, you make the winning move, be it in front of your customer, partner, or wherever, and make that accomplishment happen, which is there.
Yeah, yeah,
So, very
absolutely.
nice. Very nice. So Rajiv, this brings us to the last segment for us, and we'll rush through this. It's a rapid fire segment. Few questions, fun and fast. Uh, Please feel free to respond with a one word or one line or a two liner if you feel like appropriate. But whatever comes top of your mind as the questions come, and respond to them quickly.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, morning routine must have.
Exercise.
Okay. A book or movie that changed your perspective or had the biggest impact on you.
A book. Two books.
Okay.
Uh, Douglas Hofstadter's Good Lie Bach and uh, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Very nice. The second one, I very nice. First one, I still need to get my hands on it, but great, great choice. One word that defines you today.
One word that defines me today: patient.
Okay. Uh, if not business, corporate life, what you would be doing?
Theater.
Theater, and that's where your heart is actually. Yes, I remember that. I was debating in my mind in terms of you said you had a lot of passion for cooking as well, with a glass of wine in hand, and that's kind of biggest stress buster for you as well at times. So I was debating in my mind whether that'll be an answer or theater definitely will score high onto that. Okay, in your opinion, most underrated leadership trait?
I can't answer this question in one line. Okay, but I believe that most great leaders are unknown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because what happens is that when you are a leader, right, after you go, things change, right? So the progress of an organization is linked to that leader. Okay, but if that organization continues to go with that leader gone,
Hmm.
okay, that leader is not remembered. You know, so
Interesting.
most the best leaders are level 4. I think in a rank of 1 to 5 would be 4, because once they go, people,
The
the
benefit.
impact goes away, so therefore people remember them for their impact. Level 5 leaders, 5 or 5,
Hmm.
are people when they go away, uh,
Okay. Okay. One failure you secretly grateful for.
one failure I'm secretly grateful for. Yeah. um, a leg injury that stayed kept me away from cricket.
Uh-huh. Interesting. One person, dead or alive, you'd love to have dinner with.
My father.
Very nice. Very nice. A quote or a mantra you live by.
uh, मेहनत ही भगवान है.
Could you,
Hard
for the
work is
benefit of the
God.
audience, could you elaborate that?
Hard work is godliness. I mean, the thing is that I believe that the only thing that is in your hand is your effort.
Effort.
And yeah, that is what is,
Got you.
yeah, that is what is God. Hard work.
So, what's on your bucket list right now?
It is to watch a Ashes game at Melbourne Cricket Ground. Australia, Australia,
England.
England, at MCG.
And these are those full 5-day test matches you're talking, right?
Yes, test matches, yes.
Absolutely. Okay.
Ashes, yeah, test at MCG.
HCL is a proud sponsor of the Australian cricket team. I'm sure you'll have good options to
Yeah.
explore that.
Yeah.
Okay. What's a belief you held 10 years ago that you have now outgrown?
Believe 10 years ago. Yeah, that's you're making me think. I can't, materialism.
Very nice. Very nice. Impressive. This brings us to the end of the session, Rajiv. It was very, very nice conversation you had, as always. And for the benefit of the audience, I must call out one more thing about you. If there are people whom you come across who are good storytellers, Rajiv happens to be one of them. So his way of articulation of story and presenting the messages through way of examples and stories is fabulous. So Rajiv, thank you once again for joining and sharing your nuggets with us. I'm sure all of us have benefited, and look forward to more and more continued interaction with you, and wishing you all the very best.
It's been great talking to you, Ajay. I mean, it's awesome. Great connecting, and look forward to more interactions with you.
Absolutely. And once again, all the very best. Next time when we talk, hopefully you would have ticked off your bucket list about the Ashes series and watching in Melbourne Cricket Stadium.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm able to do it this time. That it's happening this December. It's
All right.
Boxing Day Test match. Yeah, in Melbourne this year. Yeah.
Fantastic. All the best once again. Take care, Rajiv.
Take care.